coming to you with another commentary. So basically, I said I was gonna get back to y'all with the which one call it, with the codes of honor um, among my tribe, but I wanted to interconnect it among also the Chechen people, and just basically put it together, um, and also you know because I do have ops and because I do have people who are trying to dox me and what have you, and it's mostly uh, Keisha's who I guess you can say they want to be like a part of the Fulani fold. Um, they pretty much discredit me because of the fact I'm in the West and because there are a lack of Fulani women here to marry. And then those who are here are pretty much already married, right? Um, so, with that point aside, basically, Pulaku, what we call Pulaku, is basically it's like a unwritten code of conduct. Um, um, you know, it's something that basically we go by, and the reason why we go by it is just because it, it's been passed down from generation to generation, generation to generation. Um, and so I want to tap into it a little bit, but I want to also uh, interline it with the Chechen Code of Conduct just to show that basically Western women would not be able to withstand or be under our leadership. I think that honestly, like a Western woman would not be able to be like, would not be able to like get used to what we have because of the simple fact that what we have is opposite of their life. It's opposite of the OnlyFans. It's opposite of the I want to say it's opposite of the hot girl summer. It's opposite of the boss babe. You know what I mean? It's like opposite. So I'm gonna go into it. You know, Let me go ahead and just like uh, dive into it a little bit. So, hospitality and helping others is very important for us, right? But also, we have to keep control of our emotions and our impulses at all times. This is very hard to do, especially living in the West and you're seeing these things that upset you, especially you're seeing these things among Western women. May Allah help me with that as well. And, may Allah help me, not be agitated by these people who claim that they're the same faith as you, but end up like capping and simping for Western women, and end up simping and for just Western culture in general, because it's liberal and they don't have to which we call it, follow no orders or anything like that. So may Allah protect me from that, inshallah. May Allah protect me, inshallah. Okay, so another thing is it's like you have to basically if you have basically any kind of physical or emotional pain or general discomfort, you shouldn't show it to the public at any cost. So this has helped me being in America, because one thing I understand is that like most people in America, right, they don't really care about a man's plight, right? If a man is going through something, right, he usually doesn't have anybody to talk to in regards to what he's going through, right? So this was already imprinted into me as a by default. You know, this is this was actually put to me by default. You know that you have to like not have any like which one call it. You have to have no I want to say no expression of like pain, like no expression of like discomfort, no expression of sadness, things like that. You just have to be stoic, and this serves as a reminder to me to have that, you know, just to be stoic, just be like calm, be cool, be collected. You know, this has served me well. I'm not gonna lie, but of course uh, it's resulted in me being called weird. It's been resulted in me be called emotionally unavailable, shit like that. You know, like that's the go-to word for most of the time. But then when you do become, like, I'm not saying I became emotionally available, but when you do become emotionally available, then you're seen as a weak person. That's usually how it works. So um basically, smoking, drinking, killing, or committing adultery are not pulaku. If someone breaks the code of behavior, they are judged by the community based on the scale of violation of the pulaku. Although violence is not contemplated in the pulaku, self-defense is somehow acceptable. Yeah, so I mean, like, honestly, what do most Western women do? Smoke, drink, commit adultery, fornicate. Um, they actually gravitate towards men who have felonies, who have rap sheets, who are quote unquote bad boys. That's what they like, you know. I hate to say it, but I was actually on a clubhouse room last night, and two women actually said they like toxicity. You know, they actually said that. They said, "Yeah, I like toxicity." You know what I mean? Um, you know, you should be self-sufficient. You know, that's one of the things about Fulanis. It's like, if you don't have to ask for help, you know, you should be self-sufficient. You know, that's one thing that you should always do. You know, um, um, but if you must ask for a favor, then you know, showing gratitude is something that is encouraged. You know, um, and so, you know, the religion is Islam, of course. You know, so I mean, pretty much the code of conduct lines up with religion. Uh, you know, basically, yeah, and that part of the religion includes modesty. Now, there's one thing I want to read real quick. You know, um, you shouldn't show off your wealth. You know, like, wealth is not supposed to be showed. But of course, here, you know, we live in the Instagram age, and so if you know, you showing your wealth, you just basically showing things, people things that you have. Of course, it's encouraged here, so it's against like the our code. And then you know, we have a saying that basically says "Neaku omnebam turufi kufatako," and what that means is basically dignity is like oil. Once spilled, it cannot be redeemed. So what I want to do is get into the Chechen code of honor and show that, like, basically, I'm saying this because, like, um, basically, here's the thing. If you're like an African, and you're an African Muslim, chances are you're gonna gravitate towards like the East. You're not gonna gravitate towards the West unless you just kind of like want to let loose and just kind of want to just Like, you know what I mean? Like, just have a ball, things like that. Like, chances are you're gonna gravitate towards the east. But what I want to do is I want to go into I want to go into the the um the Chechen which one call it, their code of conduct and stuff like that. And shout outs to this woman who traveled and stuff like that. Okay, here we go.
Here speaks Russian as well, because here they have two official languages.
I told them, hey mom, I spent 8 years on this degree, but I hate it and I really want to change jobs. I'm sorry, I know this sounds great.
Russian is used here for business, some formal conversations, and in the written language. So the menus in the restaurant, for example, are in Russian. And if you approach people and you ask something in Russian, they will all understand and also speak Russian with you. But in their daily life, and everyone here use the Chechen language. I haven't heard anyone here speaking Russian to each other.
Not only the language here differs from the rest of Russia, the Chechens also have a completely different culture. In any aspect of their life, for example, they must abide the code of honor, nokhchala.
So their code of honor is called nokhchala, while our code of honor is called Pulaku.
To nokhchala, they must be benevolent, hospitable, and respectful of others, especially.
Now, you have to have these traits, you know, being respectful, hospitable, things like that. The only problem is in the West, these traits are looked at as weakness. So the best thing for you is just to be quiet, you know.
Especially the elders and women.
Now, you have to show respect to the women, right? The thing is, showing respect to a Keisha or showing respect to a Karen will not get you far in the West. You may not necessarily be a nice guy, so to say. You may not necessarily be one of those nice guys, you know, push over, walk over and stuff like that. But if you show yourself to be, like, let's just say a nice person, then chances are you're going to be, or show yourself to be a respectful person, you're going to be labeled as a nice person, and then that in return is not going to get you anything. But let's continue.
While I was in Chechnya, I met a friend with a local Chechen guy, and he explained me about their code of honor and life of the Chechens.
Я сейчас прочитаю пункты, которые я нашла в интернете. Там было написано о том, как должны себя вести чеченцы и как ты должен себя вести, когда приезжаешь в Чечню, и ты прокомментируешь, правда или нет.
Хорошо.
Так, первое. Девушка не должна встречаться с парнем наедине. Свидание может происходить только в присутствии родственников.
Правда.
So, yeah, a girl should not meet a guy alone. That's completely understandable, because of course you're trying to curtail anything that may happen with a girl and a guy alone, because it can go either of two ways. Like it can go, like, you know, some fornication can happen, right? Or, you know, something worse can happen, you know, which I am not prepared to say on here, but you know, you catch my drift though. So this is understandable.
Только в присутствии родственников? Реально?
Да, правда. Ну, имеется в виду родственников, это имеется в виду двоюродный брат. Ой, двоюродный.
Yeah, like meeting with a cousin, like meeting when there's a cousin there and stuff like that.
Сестра, например, если девушка.
То есть парень с девушкой не могут
Нет,
на свидание одни?
Нет.
Обалдеть.
Yeah, and so a girl can't go on a date alone, and that's understandable, because when you look at the Western concept of dating, what is actually like the Western concept of dating nowadays, like, what I mean, like, it's pretty much, I hate to say it, but like the Western concept of dating right now, when you look at it, is pretty much like, I want to say it's like an escort service, because for all accounts, a man is expecting like that feel good on the first date, and a woman is expecting being wined and dined on that first date. So they're looking for an even exchange, and so with these kind of dynamics, it pretty much becomes like, okay, well, it's just pretty much like wham bam thank you ma'am type thing. But let's continue.
Обязательно кто-то должен быть, как там указано. Но все равно.
She said relatives get in the way. Not necessarily. Sometimes the relatives can weed out, like, bad people.
Это обычаи, традиции, все это.
He said it's all customs, it's all traditions. And one thing is that when a custom and tradition like carries on, it usually, that means there's some wisdom to that custom and tradition,
Как бы.
Ладно, второе. Девушка у чеченцев неприкосновенна, то есть нельзя дотрагиваться до девушки никому из посторонних.
Конечно.
Okay, so it says that the Chechen girl is 100% untouchable. No stranger is allowed to touch her. He said, of course, this is 100% true. It's not even up for discussion. It's true. Now, you take this, you take the honor. You know how like Western women say, oh, chivalry is dead. The thing is that they don't want chivalry. But here in this society, this is given to them by default. So even if maybe they don't want it or not, it's just by default. This is how it goes. This is how you have to deal with it. So this says a lot about the society, bro. Yeah, for sure. Let's continue.
Это 100%, безусловно, даже не обсуждается. Правда.
Муж и жена не должны разговаривать при родственниках и показывать любые другие знаки любви.
Тоже правда.
Даже разговаривать?
Даже если, например, там в комнате, если, например, друзья мужа пришли, то есть жена за стол не садится, она просто придет.
Okay, now this is going to be, of course, bad. Like most Western women will not agree with this. I agree with it. The thing is that like it's true that it's true that, for example, like usually if a guy has friends over or something like that, he's usually catching up with old times sake or something like that, or he's doing like he's building something, he's planning something with his friends, meaning that he's like, okay, we have to like get this done or something like that, right? So with that being said, with this being said, a woman shouldn't be like involved, like he said, just bring the guy something to eat and then go about your business. This, unfortunately, like most Western women wouldn't agree with it. Most Western women would be like mad, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't trust your friends, but I mean, like, guys have desires. I'm not gonna lie to you. When my Sudanese friend had me over, right? I didn't look at his wife like that, You know, I didn't look at his wife like, damn. Like, I didn't look at her in that kind of way. However, I looked at it like, damn, bro. Like, his wife is, like, just serving us tea and stuff like that. And she's looking feminine in her colorful malafa and stuff like that. I'm like, damn. I said to myself, I want that. You know, that's what I was thinking. I desired that at that present moment. But at the same time, I didn't desire his wife, but those feelings were present in my being. But let's continue.
Чай, то, что надо, на стол положит и уходит в руку.
Нельзя сидеть в присутствии старших.
Да, это обязательно должен встать, если в комнату зашел старший.
Да, ты уже говорил.
Да.
Курить нельзя при старших.
Да, тоже верно. Даже если твои родители, например, знают о том, что куришь, но ты перед ними...
So, like, for example, you can't smoke in front of your elders, like, you can't smoke in front of your parents. That makes sense. I mean, that makes perfect sense. Now, I don't know what the situation would be if your parents smoke. But that's, yeah, you know, that would be a question that we would probably have to ask, you know. But anyhow, you know, let's keep it moving.
Нельзя вообще.
Кстати, а здесь девушкам нельзя курить, да?
Вообще категорически, конечно.
So the women there are not allowed to smoke, have alcohol nor cigarettes. And I mean, this makes perfect sense. I mean, Islamically speaking, men are not supposed to have that either. Now, when you look at, I'm just be honest, I'm just gonna take what I see on social media and what I see just going outside, just like stepping outside. I mean, most women who smoke, most women who drink, most women who are involved in that life, they look very sloppy and look very unkept and not cared for. And I mean, it goes for the men too. But you know, the women more, because like for a man, I'm gonna be honest, like I think it's easier for a man to lose weight than it is a woman, you know. But yeah, you see the effects when they are engaged in these things, you know what I mean? But let's continue.
Без разницы, что ни алкоголя, ни курить, ничего.
Мужчина должен идти впереди женщины, как бы расчищая ей дорогу.
Ну да, в основном впереди должен быть мужчина во всем принципе.
Yeah, so let me see this.
Кстати, а здесь девушкам нельзя курить, да?
Вообще категорически, конечно. Без разницы, что ни алкоголя, ни курить, ничего.
Мужчина должен идти впереди женщины, как бы расчищая ей дорогу.
Ну да, в основном впереди должен быть мужчина.
So he straight out said it. You know, a man should be ahead in everything. That includes walking. You know, walking ahead of her. You know, now these kind of things that we're getting into here, the average Western woman would say this is like misogynist and stuff like that, and the average Keisha would say that, hey, you know, I don't need no protection. You know, I'm good all by my own. You know, I know how to fight. You know, this, that, and the other. So, like, what I'm trying to get at is that, like, Pulaku, this code of conduct, like, just is contrary to, like, what Western women do, Keisha, Karen do. And I believe personally they wouldn't be able to fit into the system, you know, that they have going on here.
Во всем принципе. В
семье.
семье...
Не рядом идут, он впереди идет?
Ну да. Ну, такого нету, чтобы там за ручки они шли. Вот этого нету. Это по обычаю.
So you can't hold hands on the street with your spouse. You know, and I can kind of see the logic in that. You know, I can kind of see the logic behind doing that. You know what I mean?
Здесь
просто
на улицах никто за руку не будет дать.
Нет, конечно, ты что, это не это табу, нет, такое нет.
Блин, тут вообще все другое. Женившийся парень не должен несколько дней попадаться на глаза своим родителям.
Тоже есть такое.
Почему?
Ну, потому что стыдно, как бы это некрасиво, как бы пока. Вот.
Девушка, вышедшая замуж, не должна показываться мужской части своих близких родственников до тех пор, пока отец, брат сами ее не позовут или сами не зайдут в то помещение, в котором она находится.
Да, тоже верно. Пока
Стыдно,
он не
да,
представит, да, она сама не может там заговорить.
So, you know, the marriage customs are kind of different too. But you know, I would have to probably like ask some Chechens, like, hey, you know, what's your reasoning behind this? You know what I mean? But I'm pretty sure there's some wisdom behind it, due to the simple fact that it exists right now. Because the thing is, you have people in the past, in Chechen history, for example, like you had Imam Mansour, you had Sheikh Mansour, you have who else, like Imam Shamil and things like that, you know, they got rid of certain like certain customs that were destructive, you know, and they kept the ones that weren't counteractive to society, you know. But let's continue.
Беременная женщина не должна попадаться на глаза своим родственникам-мужчинам.
Ну, тоже верно. Тоже правда.
Ничего, на 9 месяцев от всех скрывать.
Не в буквальном смысле, конечно, как бы, но в основном, да, есть такое, как бы.
Дальше. В общественном транспорте мужчина должен уступать сидячее место любому лицу женского пола вне зависимости от возраста. То есть даже старики уступят место юным девушкам.
Да, есть такое, как бы, стыдно, как бы ты сидишь, даже если взрослый, ну, без разницы, если девушка, например, стоит, ты обязательно должен, встать, чтобы она села.
Отец не должен...
So you see that, like, for example, like, they just said that you, like a man, even an old man, will have to give his seat up in front for a woman, you know, even a younger woman, that he will have to give up his seat in order to cater to that woman, you know what I mean? And this just goes to show you, like, in the eastern part of the world, like, the values that the West claimed that they once had, like, these values are still very much present there. Me personally, I'm of the belief the West never had these kind of values, you know what I mean? That's just my personal opinion. I could be wrong, but let's continue.
Дочери ходить в майке без рукавов брат не должен при сестре, матери, отце.
Конечно, это категорически, это нельзя такое.
Еще про свидание. Девушке при свидании с парнем ни в коем случае нельзя смотреть ему в глаза. Необходимо смотреть в сторону, либо опустить взгляд. Нельзя много разговаривать.
Ну да, это она как бы выражает свою скромность.
Okay, so this, a Western woman, a Keisha, would definitely not be able to accept, because the thing is, with Keisha and Karen, they don't know when to shut up. And the Westernized Maria and the Westernized Ling Ling doesn't know when to shut up either. But with this, in dating even, and granted the cousin is going to be there, you know, on the date, or the relative is going to be there on the date, the woman shouldn't even look a guy in the eye, and on top of that, the woman should not talk much either, you know what I mean? So this just goes to show you that, you know, like, they do things different, and I'm not gonna lie, their population has grown. Like, their population has increased, which would go to tell you that there's more marriages happening, you know. And so he said this is a matter of being modest as well.
Скромность, как бы.
Здесь вообще другие свидания, я смотрю.
Ну,
То есть,
да.
подожди, они там не целуются?
Не,
держатся
это
за руки,
категорически
вообще
нет.
ничего?
Точно нет, конечно, это все, это нельзя категорически.
no kissing is allowed either. You know, you can't kiss on the date. And this makes sense because like kissing leads to other things. You know what I mean?
Исторически.
А как они могут
У нас
узнать
нету
друг друга,
такого.
полюбить друг друга?
Ну, когда уже поженятся, тогда узнают.
Okay, so, and this is unfortunately like gonna go over a lot of people's heads, but I agree with it 110% for sure. So he said, like she asked, okay, well, how are they gonna get to know each other? How are they gonna get to marry, like love one another? And unfortunately, and that's another commentary in itself. The Western concept of love is based on lust, and it's based on passion. It's based on something, the Arabic word in which they call hawa. That's what it's based on. It's not based on anything like solid, so to say, right? So, with that being said, he said you guys will get to know each other by marrying each other, and I can kind of agree with that because at the end of the day, like when, for example, when a Keisha or a Karen says, okay, I'm gonna move in with my boyfriend or something like that, it's like you guys are doing it, you're not married, and you pretty much are like wearing each other down, and probably don't have any intention on getting married. You know what I mean? That's how that works. But let's continue.
Только так они могут узнать.
Так, нельзя в присутствии своих родственников и вообще взрослых мужчин со стороны мужа брать детей на руки, ласкать их, даже ругать.
То же самое, да, все верно. Вот. Ну, это все входит, как тебе объяснить, ну, в обычаи, в традиции это входит как бы.
В общем, здесь вообще абсолютно все.
So you basically he basically says, yo, this is just custom, this is just tradition, you know, this is what this is, you know. That's what he said, you know.
Все отличается от
He
остальной.
said everything is different here from the rest of Russia, and you know, of course, because Russia is majority Orthodox, you know what I mean.
Части России. Даже не верится, что это одна страна.
She said she can't believe it's even the same country.
Да, ну, это единственное, мне кажется,
He
страна,
said, you know, this is the only place where customs and traditions are best preserved.
где сохранились обычаи и традиции более получше, чем в других, как бы.
И чеченцы очень гордятся же своими традициями, да?
Ну
вот
да,
этим
это же
кодексом.
наоборот, конечно, это же естественно. И все благодаря, опять-таки, повторюсь, Рамзану Ахматовичу Кадырову, нашему президенту, вот это вот все, вот эта безопасность, чистота в городе, порядок,
Это же его
как бы.
портрет, да, по всему городу?
Да. Вот. То, что многим очень помогает, действительно, многим помог и до сих пор помогает, как бы. Но много чего сделали республики, на самом деле, очень многое. Даже посмотрите, вот как выстроилось быстро, грозно выстроился,
Да.
и какие руины были.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna cap. You know, when you look at the first Chechen wars, like, damn, man, like, these are some resilient people. Like, and you know, I gotta say that, you know, the religion is what, you know, what keeps us together. And I think I'm gonna do a little bonus right now and show you the connection that we have with the Chechen brothers. From our West African perspective. You know, these people have been through a lot. Even, it's crazy to say it, that even the Russians, like the Slavic Russians, and many Chechens have told me this. Like, they said, oh yeah, you know, the Slavic Russians actually call us Negroes. And I mean, when you look in the fighting world, a lot of the people who represent Russian actually have that Chechen, Dagestani, Caucasus mountaineer bloodline. You know what I mean? And I think in this makes sense due to the climate in which they come from. You know what I mean? But let's continue.
Были за какой срок
На
устроились?
самом деле, мне кажется, что Грозный сейчас это один из самых развитых городов вообще в целом на Кавказе.
Благодаря Рамзану Ахматовичу Кадырову все вот это вот, чистота, порядок, безопасность, вот это вот.
Так что приезжайте в Чечню,
Приезжайте.
познакомиться со всеми этими традициями.
Мы только рады гостям, вы знаете, гостеприимство у нас это.
And so they said, we're very happy to have guests. Hospitality is our first priority. So, you know, inshallah, I'm not going to tell about all my plans, but this is definitely part of the plans. You know what I mean? This is definitely going to be part of the plans. You know what I mean? All the stands are part of my plans, but I'm not going to like say much. But yeah, definitely. At this point, like for me personally, I've like double thought of it. You know, I've thought like over and over again, like whether to be one of those westernized Africans and just indulge in everything that this place has to offer. And then I said, do I want to like not bring shame to my family in the tribal code of conduct and stick to my guns? So I just decided to choose the latter option. And in choosing the latter option, I said, okay, well, let's just get the resources from this country and put it towards something that is going to be going to help me realize like this goal that I have. But let's continue.
На высшем уровне, как бы на первом месте, можно сказать, как бы.
Ладно, продолжим пить чай.
Да.
So I want to show you guys something, but again, these customs that are in place, these customs that are in place will, these customs that are in place, right? They basically would, these emotions, right? These customs that they do would not go sit right with Keisha or Karen, because look, if they say like, shut up, don't talk too much, or like, don't look me in the eye, they're not going to go for that. You know what I mean? So like, chances are they will have problems in this country. You know what I mean? They will have problems in the country. And the only reason why like they wouldn't have problems in Africa, so to say, is because Africa, like one of the biggest things is tourist money. You know, tourist money comes before customs. But I want to show you guys something. Now, one thing I want to say is this. Okay. Okay. So, so one thing I want to say is that there is a, there is kind of like, I guess you can say, there is kind of a rift. There is a rift, okay? There's a rift between, and this is like a clubhouse rift, and sometimes it trickles over into the real world, you know. So the thing is the thing is that with like East Africans, with East Africans, and I'm gonna be honest, mostly I hate to say it, I said I wasn't gonna say this, but I guess I have to bring it to light because this is an issue. With East Africans, right? Ethiopians especially, and I'm gonna use the S word, Somalis especially, us West Africans, right? Us West Africans, we're looked at as like, I want to say, um, like we're not practicing Muslims. uh, Islam does not exist in West Africa to the average like Somali person, to the average Ethiopian person, right? Like that's the thing. That's how they think and that's how they look at us. Any chance they get to, what they will do is they will try to correct us in our prayers as well, or just try to correct us in general in any type of like Islamic thing. In any kind of Islamic context, they will try to correct us and things like that, right? So the thing is that the thing is that although this will not be talked about a lot, um uh they're actually in Tuba, in the city of Senegal. It's a holy city, Tuba, right? um it is pretty much a self-sufficient city. The government doesn't really assist in this. The money for Tuba pretty much comes outside. It comes outside of the country. You know what I mean? That's where the money from Tuba comes from. So with that being said, Tuba has became a Tuba has pretty much became like a metropolis for Islam. There are actually there are not there are actually I want to say there are actually people there at the at like the age of, I want to say like the age of uh maybe like 8 or 9, who actually memorize Quran. They actually memorize Quran at a very, very young age. Not only do they memorize the Quran, but they also write the Quran. They actually write the Quran in its entirety. They write the Quran in its entirety, from cover to cover. They actually write it by hand, and these are 8, 9-year-old kids, who are doing this. I don't. Talking about Serene Tuba, Dear to Death Serene Tuba. Talking about him would be like, I would have to make at least like a 50 video. Like, I would have to do at least like a 50 video, like, series in order to break down the merits and the greatness of Serene Tuba. You know what I mean? I can't. It would be very hard for me to even begin, like, where to like explain his awesomeness and stuff like that. It would be very hard for me to even start. But what I'm getting at is that in Tuba, you have had many delegations actually go to get the blessings and the barakah of Tuba. Like, you've had the Moroccans go to Tuba. You've had even the Saudi Arabians, who we know, puts that hardline Wahhabism, go to Tuba. You have had the Bosnians go to Tuba. You have had Nigerian delegations go to Tuba as well. And now I'm going to just show you that there were Chechen delegations that went to Tuba. And I hate to say this, it's not a competition or anything, but there's no Chechen delegations going to Mogadishu. There's no Chechen delegations going to Harar. There's no Bosnian delegations going to Mogadishu. There's no Saudi delegations going to Mogadishu. There's none of them going to Harar. They're coming to where they know where the truth is. You know what I mean? So, we're held in contempt by these group of Africans, but at the same time, I hate to say it, but we're surpassing them in the sense of like our Islam and things like that. We're actually surpassing them. But let's take a little bit of a look at it. Let's look.
وقد يعاني منها أهل الدين وأهل التصوف لا يجب علينا أن نخاف أو نتردد يجب أن نذهب إلى الأمام.
So since they have the Lugwa, since in Tuba they mostly speak Wolof, he's basically saying that we're here as brothers, we're here as people of spiritual purification, and it is our honor to have you here with us today.
ñooñu nag ay soldats lañu.
جنود مجندة.
na seen camp militaire fu mu nekkoon.
كان لديهم معسكر في مكان ما.
yàlla daf leen may ñuy xam wax nañ ni baytul maqdis la.
كان معسكرهم حسب قول بعض أهل الذكر من أهل الكشف قالوا أن هذا المعسكر كان يوجد في بيت المقدس.
So basically he's saying that you guys are our brothers. Yeah, you guys are people of the remembrance. You guys are people who remember God.
انتقل وهناك عارفين بالله قالوا بأن هذا المعسكر انتقل من هناك وهو موجود في إحدى أماكن التي اختاره الله سبحانه وتعالى لهم.
And he's basically saying that you guys are people, you guys are knower of God, so this is why you guys are here right now.
هو يريد أن يطمنكم وأن يرحب بكم وأن يخلق فيكم الشجاعة والجرأة. نعم.
ألا بذكر الله تطمئن القلوب.
mooy la sunu borom subhanahu wa taala wax ni maanaam jaam yi li leen di jox kàttan leen di jox ak dëgër leen may ñuy dem ci kanam saa su ne mooy saxoo tudd yàlla ak dund tur yàlla.
ne ko soviétique yi. ne ko soviétique yi. dinañuy wax ne raad na Elis Merta muy pavé ji mais passewul seen territoire.
So basically he's saying that the hearts who remember God find peace. You know what I mean? And we want peace for your land as well. That's what he's saying.
ne ko ñoom dañoo raad na Elis Merta muy pavé ji. seen raad na seen patrie mooy tout le monde musulman.
yàlla arruus
mooy la patrie ou la mort nouvelle. mais passewul seen territoire.
قال الروس إنهم شعار يعني أنهم مثلا يحافظون على بلدهم وعلى حدودهم ولكن أنتم أهل الشيشان وأهل المسلمون في الشيشان ليس لكم حدود أنتم في كل العالم أنتم أسرتكم موجودة وأهلكم
تشيني مكة المكرم تشيني
لأنكم من أهل سيدنا صلى الله عليه وسلم. الشيشان إن شاء الله سينتصر اسمه وسوف يعرف في العالم بحكم بعون الله وبحكم تمسك بالإسلام وتمسك بسنة سيدنا صلى الله عليه وسلم.
So basically he's saying that this land is yours. This is your land as well. God made the earth spacious. This is the place for you as well. So that's what he's saying. So let's go ahead and look at another video. So here they're doing their dhikr, remembrance of God, right? And then I'm going to end on this note. So now they're sharing a meal together, They're sharing a meal together,
ginnaaw bi nga xamante ni benn nañ leen ba noppi ñu wane seen mbégte nag ci la leen Serigne Atou Diagne mi nga xamante ni mooy jëriñu daara Hizbut Tarqiyyah te Serigne bi yebal leen fii jox lu takku ci ay addiya.
And now they're looking at the qasidas. They're looking at the writings of Serigne Touba right now. You know what I mean? They're looking at the writings. And you know what's beautiful about this, though? You know what's the most beautiful thing about this? Is that there's that sense of comrade, like that comrade type of thing. I'd rather have, like me personally, this is just me personally, I'd rather have comrades than friends, I'd rather have that than like the Western sense of friends, because you see these guys have this comrade thing, and you can see that things are getting done. You know what I mean? Like productivity is happening. I think like when you have friends, sometimes, you know, it's kind of hard to be productive. You know.
mbindum sëriñ mag bi di ay diiwaan ay téere xam-xam ak yeneen bagage yu am solo yoo xamante ni firndeel na lool seen mbég
من رب الوراء محمد وشيخنا المفسر القرآني محمد المنصوبي للديماني شوف كله سمى واحد.
So they're going over the Qasidas right now. So I go to show you this. I go to show you this to show you that like we tend, like as Africans, we tend to have more in common with like people who may not be, or let's just say African Muslims. We tend to have more in common with people who may not be our pigmentation, so to say, versus maybe us having things in common with people who may have our pigmentation. You know what I mean? And this is not like a means of me like trying to coon or anything like that. It's just showing it in a context that most of our values will line up with ancient values that maybe come from a different place, right? So with that being said, they were willing, I'm just gonna be honest, they were willing to embrace us, you know, and pigmentation did not matter, versus people who may have our pigmentation, being the Somalis and the Ethiopians, who have disdain towards us. You know what I mean? But other than that, man, that's all I got for now, guys. Y'all leave your thoughts and leave your comments on this. I'm sorry it went on for a long time, but thank y'all for listening, and I'll be back with another one. And I'll probably go live soon. You know, I'll probably break in this account and do a live soon. But I just have to think of a topic to do a live about. But anyhow, Fula signing out. Unjarama.